Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to answer the question, how do I solve the quadratic equation by taking a square root? You're going to need notes, calculator, and something to write with. All right, here we go. Please do not write this slide down, all right? Different types of equations. This equation over here, ladies and gentlemen, we've been solving forever. 3x plus 4 equals 16. Today, we're going to start talking about these kinds of equations. 3x squared plus 14 equals 16. They're similar, but the change is this x squared, the way we perform our final step in solving. Now, this is a clue about how many numbers of solutions. When we just had x, we had one solution. Now that we have x squared, we're going to have two solutions. Okay, something for us to think about a little bit. Another thing, we're going to be talking about comparing factoring to solving by square root. So once again, you guys don't have to write this slide down, all right? When we factor, we have to have an x squared, and we're going to have just an x. When we solve by square roots, we're just going to have an x squared. That's it, all right? Here we go. So I know that last year we learned how to do Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And what we would do is we would plug these things in. We'd have x squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. X squared plus 36 equals 100 minus 36. Then we have x squared equals 64. Now to get rid of our squared, we're going to take the square root. Those are going to cancel. We type in our calculator, square root of 64 is just 8. So we have plus or minus 8. Okay, this is our first example. We have 4 more. Please make sure you get all of them down. All right, before we start our final examples, we need to talk about perfect squares because we're going to be simplifying our square roots. So all of these numbers on the right are perfect squares. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, and 225. And it keeps going on and on and on. Okay? Any number squared is going to be our perfect square. You're going to want to have this written down somewhere where we can come back and find it a lot. We're going to be simplifying all of our square roots. So take some time and write this down. All right, here we go. On to number 1. First one we're going to be solving. First thing, when we're solving this problem, is that we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So we're going to get 3x squared equals 36. Now, to get rid of our 3, we're going to divide both sides by 3. And we're going to get x squared equals 12. Now, to get rid of our squared, we're going to take the square root. Those cancel, so I get x. I'm going to have 2 solutions. So I have to put plus or minus. Okay? Now 12. 12, we have to think to ourselves, what perfect square goes into 12? 12 would think not 1. The next one is 4. And 4 does go into 12. So we're going to have square root of 4 times the square root of 3. When we simplify this, we get x equals plus or minus square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 3. Now this right here, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 answers. One answer is x equals 2 square roots of 3. The other answer is x equals negative 2 square roots of 3. So this and this are the same thing. Okay, we have 2 answers. You can write it either way. Moving on, example number 2. First thing we have to do here, add 15 to both sides. We're going to get 2x squared equals 80. Divide by 2. X squared equals 40. Now, to get rid of our square root, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we get x equals 2 answers, so I have to put plus or minus. Now, Grace, perfect square that goes into 40 is 4, so I'm going to put square root of 4 times the square root of 10. If I multiply 4 times 10, I get 40. So that's how I know it's correct. Now x is going to equal plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, square root of 10. And that is our answer, ladies and gentlemen. All right, moving on. Example number 3. First thing we're going to do, add 5 to both sides. So we're going to get 4x squared equals 14. Now we're going to divide both sides by 4. And x squared equals, you guys, I'm not going to simplify it. I'm going to leave it as 14 over 4. Because when we look at this, if I take the square root of both of these, when I take the square root of a fraction, it's going to be x equals plus or minus. And then I can write square root of 14 over square root of 4. Now I can never have a square root on the bottom. So either it has to be a perfect square or I have to simplify it. We're lucky 4 is a perfect square. 14 we can't break down, so it's going to be x equals plus or minus square root of 14 over 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our answer. All right, last example for the day. Here we go. First thing we're going to do, we're going to add 1 to both sides. We're going to get 3 times the quantity x minus 2 squared equals 40. Now we're going to divide by 3. 3 does not go into 40 evenly, so we're going to get x minus 2 squared equals 40 over 3. To get rid of our square, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So then I'm going to get x minus 2 equals square root of 40 over square root of 3. Now, I can't have this square root of 3 on the bottom, but first thing I'm going to do to make life easier for us is we're going to simplify square root of 40. So I'm going to have x minus 2, oh, I'm sorry, you guys, that was minus, equals plus or minus. Now 40, the greatest power that goes into 40 is square root of 4, square root of 10, all over square root of 3. We're going to simplify this, and we're going to get x minus 2 equals plus or minus 2 square roots of 10 over the square root of 3. Under no circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, can we have this square root of 3. So in order to get rid of it, we're going to multiply it times the bottom and the top. So we're going to take it times the bottom and times the top. When we do that, we're going to get x minus 2 equals plus or minus 2 square roots of 30, because 10 times 3 is 30, all over the square root of 9. We're going to keep simplifying this. So we're going to have x minus 2 equals plus or minus 2 square roots of 30, which we can't simplify, but the square root of 9 is just 3. So we're all good there. Our last step, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have to add 2 to both sides. So our final answer is going to be x equals 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 30 divided by 3. All right, that is our final answers. If you guys have any questions with this, make sure you come in. I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day, and I shall see you in class. Have a good one.